This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. Our first sponsor! Woo! Oh, and also, spoilers for Nier Automata. Video game adaptation. For some people, this mere phrase sends chills down their spine. To be more specific, I'm talking about adapting a video game to a film medium. As many of you may know, we've gotten quite a lot of stinkers over the years. On the flip side though, there are plenty of amazing adaptations like Arcane, Castlevania, The Last of Us, and many more. So when the Nier Automata anime was announced back in February of 2022, it's by far my favorite video game, with many people touting it as being an actual masterpiece. Nier Automata takes the cake because of how utterly insane it is, for a lack of a better term. You see, every so often, there comes an artist or a creator that truly pushes the boundaries of what's possible in a certain medium. For manga, I like to think of Tatsuki Fujimoto, who wrote Chainsaw Man. While I do like that series and Fujimoto's creative storytelling, it's his one-shot, Goodbye Eri, that's been living rent-free in my mind ever since I've read it. Even for YouTubers, you've got people like Markiplier creating high production choose your own adventure videos. When it comes to gaming, there are countless amazing creators, but the one that always sticks out in my head is Yoko Taro because of his work in Nier Automata. Although he created other things in the past like Drakengard and the original Nier games, they only ever attained cult followings. It wasn't until Nier Automata that his name got big. It's a game that incorporates multiple endings, mixes elements of several other genres, and you have to fight the literal credits to get the final ending, which is definitely not something he stole from another game. Suffice it to say, it would be extremely difficult to adapt Nier Automata into a cohesive, linear story. Still, I hope that Yoko Taro could find a way with his deranged mind to make it work. So, was the Nier Automata anime good? Well...
Oh, holy moly, did you see that? You didn't see anything.
With 12 episodes, it adapts only the first half or so of the game, combining both Ending A and Ending B. The show had some good, some bad, and definitely some ugly, but it wasn't a terrible adaptation overall. I really think the production staff did the best they could. Instead, I want to focus on the different ways the show succeeds and fails in adapting the impossible. Alright, before the video starts, time to do a good old ad read. Ah, Tyler, my dear friend, welcome to my snack layer of doom.
No, anything but the snacks.
Indeed, Tyler, today you'll witness the power of my ultimate snacks, and there's no escape. Behold, the forbidden snack delicacies.
No!
So yeah, this video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. Their goal is to invite everyone to experience Japan from the comfort of their own homes through snack boxes. Tokyo Treat is a monthly pop Japanese snack subscription box. You will get up to 20 exclusive, limited edition, and seasonal flavored Japanese snacks that are only available in Japan for a limited time. Sakura Co. is a monthly authentic Japanese subscription box that supports local Japanese snack makers. Each box comes with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, including Japanese teas and a special Japanese tableware. Now, let's talk themes. Tokyo Treat is celebrating a snacktacular Christmas. Christmas in Japan is really one of the happiest and yummiest times of the year. Tokyo Treat team is thrilled to bring you a taste of amazing holiday flavors through a snacktacular Christmas, packed with a special edition box full of favorite snacks stamped with Santa's approval, like Kit Kat strawberry chocolate cake, Christmas Kokuto donut, Christmas cake gummies, Christmas crunch mix, and many more. The donut is my personal favorite because that's the true shape of the earth, unlike what all those flat earthers and sphere earthers say. Sakura Co's theme is Holidays in Hokkaido. Discover the beauty of winter in Hokkaido, the northern part of Japan. When snow covers everything, Hokkaido becomes a peaceful and inviting place. Celebrate the winter season through authentic Japanese snacks curated by Sakura Co team, like milk and chocolate cookie, milk mochi, Hokkaido butter cookie. All pairs excellently with matcha genmachi tea. And this month's tableware item is indigo yuzen dish. Here, we've got the booklet. Yo, show us the booklet. Bro.
Where's the booklet? This one?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, here we got the booklet where you can learn more about the snacks you receive as well as allergen information. The booklet also contains a wealth of information about Japanese culture. Yeah, Japan is pretty far from where I live, so eating these snacks is almost like visiting that place myself. I'm gobbling everything up and I cannot stop. Make sure to click the links below and use code LOLLY to get $5 off your first box. It's the perfect gift for the holiday season. I can't whoa, what are you doing? I can't thank Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co enough for providing me these snacks and sponsoring my video.
I did your ad read. Can I go see my family for Christmas like you promised me?
No, onto the video.
Bruh.
So, every artistic medium comes with its own specific set of tools that define how they're able to tell stories. For novels, you have beautiful prose that's able to get into the core of what characters think and feel. For film and anime, which are visual mediums, they rely very much on movement and mise-en-scène. For games, though, the signature defining aspect is their interactivity. You, as the player, are controlling the outcome in some way. The best games make full use of player agency to suck you into the story, making you feel as if you're in the world itself.
Good job, good job. Shotgun! Shotgun! Ugh! And they're lined up. Shotgun! Ugh!
It's this feeling of ownership and responsibility that are crucial in building the atmosphere. Taking this element into account, it's easy to see how adapting video games into film is so freaking difficult. This is also why stuff like The Last of Us works so well as a TV show, because it's basically already an interactive movie. But when it comes to writing narratives, I'd argue that film is far more strict than video games. This is because when people play video games, they enjoy the gameplay. I know it's obvious, but when you strip all interactivity from a narrative, you lose that essential part of the original experience. If you think about it, there are countless games whose stories would not hold up if you separated it from the gameplay. An example is Monster Hunter. Even though playing these games is so much fun, the stories are all pretty basic and shallow, often boiling down to, "Oh no, dangerous monsters are coming, we must hunt them." The end. Yeah, the stories aren't bad. In fact, I find a lot of the characters charming, but they don't provide enough substance to make a compelling film adaptation, right? As for Nier Automata, its gameplay is structured around repetition to get all the main endings, and it plays off various other game genres like side-scrollers, bullet hell, and even visual novels for some reason. The game also has some of the best side quests I've ever seen. These side quests all start off pretty normal, then spiral into something more, not just adding lore to the world, but giving us surprisingly memorable characters like the Wandering Couple. All these game elements are what make Nier Automata work. So how are you supposed to tell a story when almost every tool that made the game amazing is stripped away? The short answer is you can't, and I knew this a long time ago actually, before the anime was even announced. I knew that if this game ever got an adaptation, no matter how faithful it might be, the game just wouldn't work as a show. How did I know, you might ask? Well, it may come as a surprise to you that I actually read the novel adaptation called Nier Automata, long story short. Why did I read this? Because I'm a real Nier Automata fan, unlike all you posers who don't even read the extended lore. Anyway, when I read the novel, I was actually really bored, despite how much I admired the game's plot. Other than getting some more insight into the characters' thoughts, the novel itself wasn't enough to keep me engaged, and it's not just because I have a TikTok skibbity zoomer brain. Yoko Taro expressed the same sentiment himself, saying that Nier Automata was a story created to be a game, so copying it as is into an anime format wouldn't make it an interesting story. That's why he was so involved with changing the story for the anime adaptation. It's interesting to note that the director for the anime actually respected the game enough that he wanted to make a completely faithful adaptation, but Yoko Taro insisted on making certain edits. Doing so would make sure that there's actually merit in watching something new rather than making a copy of the original work. So, were the changes any good? Actually, a lot of them were pretty justified. The introduction of the new character Lily helps deepen the tension between the Yorha androids and the Resistance, adding a layer of complexity to the narrative. We even get to see the Pearl Harbor descent that was only ever shown in stage play format and later a manga. Additionally, the anime's decision to have Eve die instead of Adam provides Adam with a powerful catalyst for change, forcing him to confront his own shortcomings and the fragility of life. It makes him realize how much he had been neglecting his little brother. Unfortunately, the anime adaptation was a little too short, not allowing enough time to include every major event like the fight against Grun. While I think 24 episodes might have been too long in adapting the first half of the game, 12 episodes is still kinda short, not allowing enough time to let the plot and the characters breathe. I can't really blame the show too much for this because of its numerous production complications, but it's disappointing when I'm not able to get a feel for these characters. Despite Adam receiving more screen time in the anime, his character development remains underwhelming, mostly just him sitting on a table and talking with Eve. To be fair, even in the game, we don't really get that much development from those two characters, but Adam's transformation from an idealistic machine to a vengeful and ruthless one lacks the nuance and emotional depth that it deserved. Adam's reaction to Eve's death, which is supposed to be a pivotal moment in his character arc, unfortunately falls flat mostly because of how little we get to see of Eve in the first place. Death is a powerful tool in narratives, but it's something that has to be properly set up. The most memorable deaths in fiction are so impactful because we're shown how much a dying character means to other people. It sucks that we don't get to see how much Adam and Eve really care about each other and how Eve's death would change Adam's life. In this sense, Eve becomes a one-dimensional plot device. Adam's grief feels forced and unearned, lacking the intensity and emotional resonance it could have had. This, in turn, weakens the impact of the final confrontation between Adam and the androids, making it feel more like a spectacle than a meaningful clash of ideals. The lackluster final battle leads me to mention that conflict is at the center of what keeps audiences engaged with the story. And I'm not just talking about fights, I'm talking about deep-rooted, impactful conflict that pushes characters to their limits. Audiences want to see active characters that struggle to attain meaningful goals, rather than people going on missions just because the commander tells them to do so. Games can preoccupy players by having them fight enemies, but when you're watching a show, the audience isn't doing any fighting themselves. When you have characters hacking and slashing nameless machines, it's cool, yes, but it might as well be meaningless noise. It's akin to watching a fireworks display. Pretty to look at, but ultimately fleeting and lacking in substance. I call this the random encounter pitfall, and it's something the Nier Automata anime sometimes suffers from. A prime example is the boss fight against Simone, the opera boss. In the anime, 2B and 9S simply stumble upon the theater, engage in a fight with Simone, and move on. The revelation of Simone's tragic backstory through 9S's hacking feels like an afterthought. It's just a mere blip in an otherwise action-packed sequence. In the video game, this approach is acceptable. Players can gradually piece together Simone's history through various lore fragments and side conversations, immersing themselves in the world and its characters at their own pace. However, in the anime, a single backstory dump during a scene fight does little to constitute character development. This lazy storytelling trope is prevalent in many manga and anime, and I actually hate this shit. Character development is not a single scene, it is a cumulative journey, the intricate sum of a character's experiences, interactions with their environment, and the impact they have on those around them. When we look at every character in Nier Automata, they're either static or there isn't enough runtime to make their development feel meaningful, as in the case with Adam. A lot of RPGs also develop their characters through banter as you're exploring the world in the game. In Nier Automata, this is how we learn subtle hints about 2B and 9S's relationship. This is also how we learn about their operators, 6-0 and 21-0. Through all these short interactions, we learn how 6-0 always dreamed of experiencing the beauty of Earth's landscape, but she's always been unable to leave the bunker, so she lives vicariously through 2B. For 21-0, we learn how, despite her cold personality, she's always had a secret longing for family, as shown by how she sometimes treats 9S like a child. The anime makes an attempt at developing 6-0 and 21-0, but in such a strict medium as film, every second of runtime counts. It would be impossible to include every piece of charming banter that makes these characters feel like tangible people. Even the two main characters, 2B and 9S, spend most of their time just walking around and killing machines without ever undergoing any significant change. 2B in particular poses a significant challenge. Her stoic demeanor and suppression of emotions are integral to her character in the game, but these traits can easily translate to blandness on screen. And I get it, that's the point. She's a jaded veteran that denies how she feels about 9S, but it makes for a very boring character to watch, even if I know about her secret. While her true nature is eventually revealed in the later parts of the game, the lack of outward change throughout most of the anime makes her a less engaging character to follow. This issue is further compounded by the anime's limited runtime, which can make it difficult to provide necessary context and depth to fully explore her emotional complexities. 9S, on the other hand, does offer more potential in the anime. His journey of emotional turmoil and grand disillusionment with his purpose can be effectively conveyed through visual storytelling and dialogue. However, the backloading of character development in this game, whereas most transformative moments occur, poses a challenge for the pacing in the first core. Backloading character development isn't something that matters as much when you're playing a game, but in a film medium, characters need to either change themselves or those around them. Otherwise, if everything returns to the status quo, what's the point of telling the story in the first place? At the end of the day, telling narratives in a video game is way different from a show. This is why the most successful adaptations are games that are already basically a movie, or adaptations that write their own story, like Arcane and Castlevania. When we step away from Nier Automata's plot and admire the visuals, the anime actually doesn't look that bad, minus the horrendous CGI in the first episode that literally looks worse than the game, despite remaking these scenes one-to-one. Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it's pretty bad. At this point in time, I've come to accept that certain shows will use CGI with backgrounds and large objects, but come on. With that being said, the 2D animation is great because it's well drawn and stuff. Even with the production issues, I felt like the animation was never lacking. It's not Mappa levels, but it does look good. I also like how well the original 3D character designs were translated into 2D. Unfortunately, no matter how good some parts may look, the anime is unable to capture the same atmosphere as the game. When you're running around in this hauntingly desolate, post-apocalyptic world, you can't help but admire the overgrown scenery that juxtaposes the futurism. It's a melancholic setting. And yet, when watching the anime, everything kind of feels off. It relies so much on still frames to show the world, and the show breaks the pacing with jarring exposition to explain the lore. It lingers too much on emotional scenes without ever taking the time to properly build up toward those cathartic moments. Even the anime soundtrack, the direct adaptation to the game's amazing compositions, is often overshadowed by the anime's overall lack of emotional resonance. The music, while never failing to give me goosebumps, is just unable to elevate the narrative or connect with the audience in a deeper level. While Nier Automata's game plot is strong, it is a game plot. It doesn't have enough of the most crucial elements to make a compelling show. I don't think anybody in their right minds actually thought the anime would parallel the game completely, but the truth is that adapting something into a different genre will always be imperfect because the greatest works of art always make full use of their medium strengths. This is why adapting Nier Automata's story would always be an impossible task. And if you don't take anything else from this video, just play the game, bro.